back to the channel. As always, we are catching us some crappie. We will tell you to, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It sure does help us out a lot. And hit that like button if you like the video. If you don't like the video, don't do anything at all. But we sure do appreciate it. And let's get into this video. So, out there fishing, it has went from being just a few weeks ago extremely hot, temperatures in the 90s, sweating, to it is nice out there now, even a little bit chilly at times. And got these water temperatures that when this one was filmed it was at 71 degrees. It's dropped down a few more degrees here. We've had a couple nights down in the 30s and hitting temperatures around 68, but I tell you, it's really got them fish turned on. And I had talked to a buddy of mine that had fished, and he was like, hey, I think the lake's turning over. And I went out there and fished, and it is, or it has. You can definitely see it even now, even more so. But the lake has turned over. It went from being gin clear water to it's gotten dingy. You could even smell, just that kind of different smell that you get whenever the lake turns over. And a lot of times when the lake's turning over, we say, oh, they're not biting, fish is turned off, lots of different things. But I could just report that no, they're still biting, especially the crappie and even the bass. Last weekend they had a bass tournament, had 19 some pounds. I caught bass good yesterday. And catching crappie, they're, as you can see, you're going to see in this video, and from what I've seen, the last couple times that I've been out there, these fish, they're not on top of any of the cover. They're definitely down in it, and then under it, you're having to really get down in it. But Kenny, and I'm going to put a link to his video hopefully right here. I need to remember the time. But he did a video I think he put it out last week from our trip to Grenada, and it was actually a really good video. I watched it, really funny. So hopefully I can figure it out, and you're seeing the link to that video. But he is, I think in the last week, maybe week and a half, he has cleaned. They've caught like 270 some crappie, and these are keeper crappie. This isn't total. They'll catch anywhere from 75 to 100 each day. But he's doing those guided trips, and they're being very successful. But you can see here these fish. I mean, just look at it. They're just buried up in that structure. And I think you can see kind of my line there as I'm kind of bringing it. This here is just a pile of a lot of smaller fish. I had a couple hours one evening. You can see it's done 5:11. I think it gets dark at 6:18, 6:10, somewhere around there. But you can see, and you can see I'm zoomed out there to 100 feet. I'm just searching and looking. I caught a few fish at the first of the video. You saw being able to vertical jig, getting down into the pile, but there wasn't a whole lot of fish there, and they get beat up. So I just kind of went looking. You can see here another piece of structure, got several fish on it. We're gonna get one hooked up right here. You can see it kind of come off the screen. Yep, there he is. And gonna flip him on in here. But and I'll show it here again. A good sized fish, but it wasn't a crappie. Actually picked up a little bass off there, which is fun to catch, especially on that light tackle, but not really what we were looking for. He had followed that little jig way up. We were able to get him. Go ahead, and some people call them ditch pickles. Go ahead and pitch him back in there. But even, I know some other videos you've seen that we're probably since June we've been setting off of them and casting to them. And I went today. Not this footage isn't from today, but this is from earlier in the week. But I went today and was pitching pitching to them, and I tell you, they were actually biting better today than what they were this day, and they bit pretty good here, and I expect them just to continue to bite, really until they start pulling the lake, and they'll probably start that at the end of the month. I don't know as far as like green, probably around deer season. I think might be whenever they start pulling it. Not 100% sure on that. They seems like they change it every year, but Nolan and Barron they may have already started pulling. Green, Nolan, and Barron, all three of those lakes are I can't talk. Flood control lakes for the Green River. And Green River dumps into Ohio. There in between Kentucky and Indiana. But so I've been moving and just looking, and I actually even went shallower. And look here what I found. Turns out they weren't crappie. Not sure exactly what they were and I've got the speeded up, but it really good picture with the Livescope. You see it 30 feet, and I couldn't get no reaction from these fish. I started hitting them in the head, moving them around a little bit, but definitely some better fish sitting on these. You call them stumps, I call them trees, and a little bit of standing timber. And the reason why I was in the standing timber, I was just trying something different. We've caught a lot of fish off of what you call brush tops or tree tops. So I went back in here, and these fish, you see them. I told you I hit them. I was gonna make a move, but they never really gave a reaction to my bait. And here in just a little bit, you're gonna see one that's gonna be sitting out suspended. We're gonna ease on up to it, and we will get a reaction out of it, but it doesn't bite. But I wanted to put this in there just to show you, the you've especially with this fall fishing, everything's changing right now, and it's going to be changing drastically, not just with the temperature, but like I said, when they start pulling this lake down, you're going to have to get out and hunt fish. So you're going to have to look, unless I tell you. But I'm going to be traveling a lot the next couple weeks, couple months. We're going to be fishing a lot of different waters. So I don't know how much videoing we will get in, but definitely be getting that content out. But you can see I'm just constantly hunting. I mean, we've already, in just this video alone, in the last, in about an hour of fishing, covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 brush tops, and then that standing timber. Here we're on 6 and 7, totally different area of the lake. And just looking for better fish. You can see as the sun's getting down there, and this is not it. And we're gonna see that real quick. I'm pushed out to 50 feet looking, and you can see a lot of activity down there, a lot of fish. Stick our bait down there, bounce it over that big old fish's head. And what I'm looking for is one thing. You can see my bait. See how big it is. If there's not any dots down there, I mean, we just make it simple. Your bait's a certain size. If there's not a dot or a blob down there that is much bigger than that, the fish, very seldom is a big fish going to grow out of a little dot. I'm not going to say that it won't ever happen, because depending on the angle and how much of the fish you're seeing, is it hiding behind cover, a lot of different things. There's times where a little dot can become a big dot, just given on which way it's turning. But you can see I'm having to get this jig down in the cover and kind of draw them out. And even with that one there, wasn't able to convince him. But you could see there's just not a big varying difference between the size of the bait and these fish. So I'm making these pitches, going to catch a couple fish, but just looking, seeing, even sometimes you can draw a big fish up off of the bottom. And you can see that's one of the reasons why I'm getting way down there, just to see. And we may convince that one. Yeah, we convinced him to eat, but he's just a fish. We're not going to waste a lot of time in this area. I can't, I don't know, I may have changed. We're looking at 612. So yeah, I've probably moved. I think this is the area where I actually catch several keeper size fish, and you're going to be able to see right there. See the difference in the size dot. And if you have to back it up in the video, and these by no means the monsters. That's 10.5 inch fish. Um, Not a monster, but just good eating size. The and I'll be honest with you, I've been to Mississippi. I've been on Barron, been on Lynn. Uh, I haven't really crappie fished green. The couple times that I have got to go fish on green, I've uh, just doing a little bass fishing, just pitching, doing some different stuff. But I'm not on green as much, and the some of the more productive areas, not really trying to put a whole lot of pressure on them, just because I'm just not out there fishing for it. But this here was an area that we had fished some back in the summer, and it's still holding fish, but you can see where fish maybe in the summer would be scattered out on top and waiting for these shad to come over. We're having to go down in to the brush and catch these fish, and I'm expecting to see with the once the lake's turned over, but the fish are still eating. We're not seeing the shad as much. You see, there's not shad moving in like probably a month and a half ago. We would actually be fishing these brush piles, and at times there would be so much shad come in onto these brush piles that you wouldn't be able to tell what was brush and what was shad. The shad, there's some in the backs of coves. I was in the back of a cove today, saw shad in the back of the cove. There's some up the creek. It's really a lot of bait is scattered. The I did go up the creek uh, last weekend. Did not find any quality fish up the creek. Now that's not to say that they won't show up tomorrow. Crappie can move 10 miles in a day, so like I said, a lot of variance. But this is the probably anywhere from 8 to maybe 14. I didn't count, but I think this may be the 14th um, pile that I checked in just like 2 hours, and it was obviously the most productive. And like I said, most what I did was casting. I enjoy it more. Um, and I feel like you don't put as much pressure. We got some clips here of me vertical jigging with a 10-foot medium light rod, and you can see I can get right on these fish. See, I get his attention. See if he's gonna eat, but no love, no love. Um, I'm gonna dip back down in there. I like to stay real close to the cover, especially even when you're not seeing individual fish, because you can not create fish, but sometimes those fish that are hiding will come out. And this is a big one that moves up. But look, the little one eat it. There was two fish together. There was a bigger fish that was there, and a stinking little one ate it. Of course, when you see a big signature coming at your bait, and you feel a bite, you have to set the hook. There's not a whole lot you can do. The so that's fishing. See, come right up there, and I think you get this a lot more when you're vertical jigging. The fish that'll come up and turn around on it, come up and turn around on it. Um, Honestly, I'd love to get back, and you see that color change. That's where it's gotten so dark. The screen on the that the camera's watching has went to a dimmer mode just because we're sunset probably 10 minutes ago, and we're still catching. Actually, fished this till probably dark, and most of these fish left right whenever it did get dark. And I'm running out of time, but guys, appreciate you watching. Hope you learned something. If you have questions, leave it in the comments. Like I said, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's not going to cost you anything, but it does really help us out, especially keep bringing these content to you. Hit the like button. Tune in. We're going to keep fishing. And